Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is time to come your way with the online pregnancy school. I'm sure everyone is doing well and also keeping safe. You know, this pandemic is still with us, unfortunately, one thing after the other, but we know that our God will come through for us. So very soon, we'll all be okay. But please remember to keep to all the protocols. Don't lose your guard, please. Make sure that the members of your families are also adhering to every protocol in place. It is important. For those of you who have been joining us, we say a very big thank you. And if you haven't been joining us, you are missing a lot. We are learning a lot about pregnancy because pregnancy should be a time of joy and not anxiety or fear. And ladies and gentlemen, in a year, so many women, unfortunately, lose their lives or have some other illnesses because of pregnancy, delivery, and post-delivery. And a lot of babies are born dead, over 3 million every year. Some of them die within the first day, some within the first month. And we are trying to learn a lot of things that we can do to help us as women, as families, to ensure that women go through pregnancy successfully and come out healthy with healthy babies. So if you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and check out all the videos that we have put together for you by subscribing to my YouTube channel, Dr. Linda Banotu, the online pregnancy school, and also on Facebook. Follow us, like our page. And remember to also get yourself a copy of the magazine Promise from the Womb. It will do you a lot of good because we have put together what you should know in very simple terms so that you don't miss anything when you are pregnant. Today, we are going to continue with our discussion, and I'm going to do this with a colleague. We're going to talk about after a woman has delivered, something that is very important, which we have to be aware of and help this woman to go through successfully. So I'll introduce my guest for today, Mrs. Charlotte A.C. Myers.
There are types of postpartum depressions. The first type I want to talk about is the postpartum blue. And the second one is the postpartum depression, what we are going to talk about now. Third type, that is the postpartum psychosis.
Mrs. Myers, having known some of the things that happen, what are the signs and symptoms?
Postpartum depression, which starts after 4 weeks to 6 weeks of after delivery. And so here the individual may have mood disturbances. Then there's also the issue of loss of interest in the things that the person loves doing. There's loss of appetite. And so it leads to loss of weight. Then there's sleep disturbances. The person may not be able to sleep well.
Mrs. Myers, these are symptoms that we wouldn't want to see in pregnant women. So what are the risk factors?
Yes, with the postpartum depression, there are about 3 risk factors: biological, social, and then psychological risk factors. So when you talk about the risk factors associated with the biological part, we want to talk about the levels of hormonal changes. that certain sudden change in hormonal levels during pregnancy and after pregnancy. During pregnancy, women during pregnancy, we change a lot. A lot of things go on within us, and it's all about hormones. And then after delivery, these hormones will have to return to their normal state. So there's a drop, and sometimes there's even a withdrawal, complete withdrawal. So when these things happen, some of the women react to it, and then it leads to postpartum depression. That is the biological aspect. A lot goes into it, but that one can be more explained by the medical or the specialist for women. Okay, so the other thing is when we still under the biological, we also have the genetic one. Genetically, if you are also prone to it, you may experience it. And then also, if you have a history of depression, maybe before pregnancy or subsequently you go through depression, you may be at risk of having postpartum depression. There's also the issue of nutrition. Sometimes if you are not, you don't really eat good balance or balanced diet, you may also be at risk. So these are some of the biological factors. Then we talk about the social factors. Social factors, it's also affects the individual in so many ways. And here, when the individual doesn't have a very strong support system, and the person starts thinking about who can help me, who can be there for me, where do I get this, where do I get that, and she becomes overwhelmed. It can affect her mood. So the person becomes depressed along the line. Then also there's also issue of financial difficulties. If the individual doesn't have enough money to support herself, or she doesn't have enough money for certain things that she will need after birth. Sometimes you see some of our women, they look at other people and they want to do like what other people are doing, or they want to copy. So if they want to copy, then it means that my friend has been able to buy this for her baby, for herself, and she goes to antenatal in such a car or in such a manner. I cannot provide. So if it happens like that, then the individual becomes very sad and may lead to a depressive state. Then also, if an individual gives birth at a point that she or he hasn't planned for, that's unwanted pregnancy or unplanned pregnancy, it can also lead to postpartum depression, because that person throughout the pregnancy wasn't happy. And even thereafter, she's still not happy because that wasn't her plan. So that the emotional state of the person can lead her to have postpartum depression. Then also when the person gives birth to a baby that has medical condition, other medical condition, or it has a malformation, or the person is a child that may have a special need, then it means that the person sees herself as unfortunate and may think otherwise. Here in our part of the world, then they begin attributing it to other factors, like the gods, like they are punished and all other things. That is a punishment for them. So they begin attributing it to a whole lot of things, and this affects their emotional state. And so it leads to postpartum depression. Then some other people, when they give birth to more than one or multiple pregnancies, like twins, triplets, or more, they feel overwhelmed, and they know it affects them. So they may also fall into a state of postpartum depression. So these are some of the social risk factors that we can talk about.
Okay.
Now, I talked about the psychological risk factors. With the psychological risk factors, here, when the individual has high levels of stress, sometimes you give birth and you don't have a helper, you have to do everything yourself. Probably you even have some assignments that you have to do. So you do all by yourself, no help. Nobody comes to your aid. So you feel overwhelmed and may lead to changing your emotional state. So you may fall into postpartum depression if you are not very fortunate. Then when the individual also goes to depression or experiences depression during pregnancy, it's also a risk factor that such an individual may definitely or may have or may experience postpartum depression. That means that after delivery, the depression will continue.
Yeah.
And so such individuals should be taken care of prior before delivery. Then there's also things that go on in our thoughts, as our cognitive attributions, what we attribute to ourselves, the negative things that we strongly hold on to, and other negative thoughts, may lead an individual to experience postpartum depression. Then there's also the issue of if the individual has ever had psychotic symptoms before, or is a psychiatric patient, then there's the issue of that person being at risk of experiencing postpartum depression. So these are some of the things that are found to be risk factors to having postpartum depression.
Wow. That is a lot. But all of them can be seen. So if one is at home with a lady and you find that there's something not going well, please, it is at the point of you seeking care. If it's yourself, you are pregnant, you go to the hospital and you have a challenge, please, the midwives are there for you. Talk to somebody. The clinical psychologists are there for you. Talk to them. The doctors are there. Talk to them. If you have a problem reaching any of them, just go to one of the nurses and tell the nurse that I would like to see a midwife, because you may not know. So I would like to see a midwife, or I'd like to see a doctor. Or just go and join the OPD, the outpatients department. And when you go to see the doctor or the physician, or whoever is seeing you, then you can talk to the person about that. I believe it will be helpful. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about postpartum depression. So much has been said. Please share this video as widely as you can for your sisters and aunties and anybody to hear. Even those who are yet to get married, they should know about it. Because once you're a woman and you are planning on getting married, you should know about pregnancy and some of the things that can happen. If you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell. And go back to our previous videos, please. We have said so much about pregnancy. And I've already informed you that as we go along, we'll be talking about the family as a whole. So I'm happy that today we have mentioned the men. We'll be talking about men. We have done some videos on men, and I would encourage you to continue watching them and learning. And if you have any question or comment, just send us the message and we would be happy to respond to them. Mrs. Myers, that is a lot.
Yes.
So, can it be prevented? Can postpartum depression be prevented?
Yes, yes, please. It can be prevented. But before I talk about the prevention, I want to talk about the effect of untreated postpartum on the mother, on the father, and on the child.
Okay, that's fine.
So
yes.
So I will briefly talk about that one. So when postpartum depression is not treated, it can affect the mother and child bonding. That means that the mother will not want to see the baby. The mother will not want to have anything to do with the baby. So if that child grows up with it, there wouldn't be any relationship between the child and the mother. And it may also have a lot of family problems. When it's also not treated and it keeps on and lingers on for a very long time, it can develop into chronic depression. It can also lead to a state that may affect maternal care. Mother may exhibit significant negative and other behavior towards the child. Like I said, will not want to touch the child, will not want to show any affection, and may even affect the mother's future life, because it wasn't treated, and so from time to time she will show signs of depression. Then with the father can have a lot of emotional strain on himself, such that he will not also want to get closer to the newborn baby. And so the father will also be affected in a way. There wouldn't be good relationship between the father and then the child. And then it can also lead to paternal postpartum, like I said, which also impacts the family as a whole. Because if the father who is to go out and bring something to the house is depressed, then who takes care of who? Who will take care of the mother? Who will take care of the father? So the family is really affected. Then with the child will also experience sleeplessness, or may have other sleeping problems. That child may grow up to be very aggressive, because he or she may be left there unattended to. So she'll grow up like somebody. If you really go into psychology, Erickson stages of development, it tells a lot. That child will feel that the world is not friendly. So she'll grow up becoming aggressive, because she's always left to cry. So she'll be aggressive, she'll become hyperactive. She may even have delayed speech, movement, or poor academic performance. There may also be social problems, like the child may have difficulty forming relationship, because right from the onset, nobody loved her or him. So she may have difficulty forming relationship. She may always be withdrawn. There may be social withdrawal, and like I said, will act aggressively. And then emotionally, the child may have low self-esteem and high anxiety. Then there's also the risk of developing depression as well. So as the child grows up, that's what will affect that child. And then there may be other illnesses that are associated with untreated. I think this is some of then prevention. Yes, it can be prevented. Prevention, where we will go. I want to go about it according to the risk factors, and I talked about social factors, psychological factors, and then biological factors. And so I said, socially, the individual, you have to have a realistic expectations for yourself. You don't have to expect too high that you cannot afford. So you should be able to expect within your reach. Then during the postpartum period, when we say postpartum, is after birth. During that period, you should limit visitors, because when this person comes and goes, you keep talking, you keep chatting. Sometimes you may not know what you may talk about. Some of them may be very disappointing. You may feel disappointed in some of the conversations you may have, or you may feel guilty in some of the conversations you may have, or even the in and out of people coming in and out may disturb your sleep pattern. So you may not have rest, it will lead to stress, and that can be a risk factor. Then you should also ask for help. You should ask for help. Let others know how they can help you. If you don't have a helper, let others help you. Then you should also have time to rest. You sleep and rest. Even when the baby sleeps, you should also be able to sleep a little, if not too much. Then you should also exercise. If you do exercise, walk about, you can do it within the house. Get up early in the morning, you walk about. It helps. Then you should be careful with your diet as well. Try to eat very good um, or balanced diet. That can help, but avoiding alcohol and caffeine, most importantly. Then um, you as an individual should also try as much as possible to foster good relationship with your partner or with others, significant others. And yes, and so you should also keep in touch with family and friends. You don't have to isolate yourself, because sometimes you'll be overwhelmed by your own thoughts, such that if you don't get somebody to talk to ease yourself of the stress, you may fall into depression. Then you should also expect some good days and know that not all every day is a bright day. Some of the days may not be very bright for you, but you shouldn't give up. You shouldn't be very sad about it. You should know that yes, some days may not be very pleasant, some may be pleasant, and move on. And so with the fathers too, some of the effects on the father, some of the risk factors for the fathers is that sometimes they may not have money. They may have financial difficulty. You know, if you are really an expected father, you should be able to gather something for yourself. So you should plan. Fathers should plan, and fathers should also should not really put so much burden on themselves, and should also try and talk about their difficulties. They should share their difficulties with others that can give them support. So if you do some of these things, it can really prevent the occurrence of postpartum depression.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined us, today we are talking about postpartum depression, and we are looking at the prevention, whether this can be prevented. And so we have heard a lot, and I'm sure you are still learning a lot about what you can do. For the fathers, please, it's not just the pregnant woman who plans for the delivery. No, the man also has to plan. And we are told that if we do this, we'll be able to prevent some of the issues that will lead to depression after delivery. I hope that is clear. If you have any question or you have any comment, you can send us a WhatsApp message on +23359 2420625, +23359 2420625, and we'll get back to you. Or you can also send us comments in the comment section. Let's hear back from you, please. As you listen, let's hear back from you. For some of you, you may have known somebody who has gone through this and how the person is doing now. If the person is still not well, please let the person go to the hospital or get in touch with us, and we'll link you to Auntie Charlotte, or wherever you are. There will be a doctor or a clinical psychologist who will be able to help you. Don't stay with your condition at home and try to manage it all by yourself. It doesn't work like that. So, Mrs. Myers,
Yes.
what is the treatment, if any?
Yes. Postpartum depression, like I introduced it, is caused by other factors. So it is treated accordingly. I talked about biological factors, the risk factors as hormonal imbalance. So sometimes they are given medications according to the symptoms or the severity of the symptom. Then they are also, if it is the cause is due to hormonal imbalance, they are giving hormonal therapy. That is, they are giving some hormones to balance, to keep the hormone balance. That particular hormone balance can be estrogen, it can be progesterone or other. So that is the medication aspect. Then also we also look at the psychological aspect and treat or help the individual through. So I talked about the fact that the individual may have thought distortions, that the person may start thinking in a negative way. So with psychologists, we use something we call cognitive behavior therapy. And here we try to help the individual to change the way she or he is thinking. We term it as that we helped you to restructure your negative thoughts to a positive one. Then also we help you to examine your challenges and then how to manage them. And then we help you with something that we call thought records. We help you to record your thoughts, and then from that we'll see the faulty one and help you out. Then also we help the individual to learn how to solve problems, that problem solving skills, because we believe that if the individual doesn't know how to solve problems, that is some of them, it can also result in postpartum depression. So we help you to be able to learn how to positively solve your problems. And then also we help you to build self-efficacy. Then there's also interpersonal therapy, where we help you to understand and improve your personal behavior or relationships. Then lifestyle modifications, we help you to de-stress, to engage in physical activity or relaxation techniques that we teach the individual so that you will be able to relax yourself from the stresses you are going through. Then there's also we try to help you learn how to seek for social support. And we help you with your sleep pattern as well, how to sleep well. So these are some of the things we do for our clients psychologically. Before we even start the management, we have tools to measure and know the level of your depression. Then we know how to help you. So this is what we do as psychologists to help the individual.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. A lot is done for that one person. Every life is important. And that is why the psychologists will go through all that. And the beauty of it is that they will not just plunge into a treatment for you. As she said, they would take you through this form to know where you are, and the treatment will be instituted accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. Even if you are not pregnant or you haven't had a child, but you have some of the symptoms that Mrs. Myers has spoken about, you check yourself, you know that some of the things that you were interested in doing, you are no more interested in doing them. Even the way you care for yourself, the way you show interest, the way you talk to people that are around you. If you see that you're having these challenges, it might be that you are going through depression. Please, depression is a condition that can happen in a human being. As she said, it's not every day that is bright. Do not stay at home, even if you are a man. We have done a session on depression in children and adolescents. So you as an individual, you have people at home with you, you can be observing. If you find any of them, whether a child or an adult, a male or a female, please, they are there for you. That is why they do this, that people would not stay with their depressive states, please. So do not stay at home. If you have any of the symptoms she has mentioned, or you see somebody, your wife, your sister, anyone who has had a child and is going through this state, please do not stay at home. And she also said that even during pregnancy, somebody can have depression. So let us help for pregnancy to be a time of joy and not anxiety or fear for the woman and also for the family. If you have just joined us today, we have spoken about postpartum depression. Postpartum is after delivery, after birth, depression. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of depression. Today, we have gone into what happens to a woman after she has delivered and she goes through this. My guest, Mrs. Charlotte Myers, she's a very experienced clinical psychologist. She's trained a lot of people. She has seen a lot of people. So she's the right person to talk about this topic. And also she's available. If you want services, she would be able to help you. Get in touch with us. +2335924206225. WhatsApp, please. WhatsApp. And we'll be happy to hear you. We will be having sessions where we'll have people to ask questions, but that is not today's session. So that one will come later on. So please do not stay if you have any of the issues that she has mentioned. Mrs. Myers, we are ending our interesting discussion. What are your last words for the public?
Yes, my last word to the public is that I mentioned a lot of signs and symptoms. I mentioned a lot of risk factors. So my encouragement or admonition to mothers or to be mothers is that when you haven't planned for pregnancy and it comes, do not be so discouraged because it has already come. I always teach people that when something happens, no, don't be so down with it. Yes, acknowledge the fact that it has happened, but don't be so down with it. Think about the future of whatever your life is. You should think about your now and your after. Don't get yourself soaked within the problem because whatever you do, it has already happened, whether you blame yourself or what. So what you need to do is the way forward. How can you make the situation better? So you don't get so sad that this has happened to you. You only have to learn a lesson from it. How did it happen? What did I do wrong? Then you take that lesson to better your future. So that's one. And then two, you should plan within your means. Don't try to go beyond your means so that you will not stress yourself emotionally. And I pray that I also advise that young mothers shouldn't go into competition with anybody. Be yourself. Don't go into competition with anyone. And to be fathers should also plan very well before they start their family. Because when you start a family and you don't have what it takes to take care of them, you also fall into the postpartum depression when your baby is born. Instead of you being happy that the baby is born, then you rather become sad. And that will lead you into something else. So in a nutshell, I also want to encourage the individuals that if you see or if you yourself experience any of the signs and symptoms, please quickly look for help because there's always help. Go to a hospital, talk to them. If you are somebody who goes to the hospital, express your symptoms so that you can be helped. So this is what I have for my listeners.
Wow. You couldn't have said it in a better way. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't compete with anybody. The fingers are not the same. We are all not the same. Somebody can go in car A. You can also go in car B. You can even walk. If your house is just around the corner to the hospital, why not? That is an exercise. So please do not compete. We have taxis, we have Uber, we have anything that can take you there within your means. Please do not compete. That is what we are being told. And don't stay with your symptoms at home. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. Today, we spoke about postpartum depression. It's a very important topic. I have seen women who have delivered and they say they do not know the babies, so they wouldn't touch them. We don't want to get to that stage. So if you have any of the symptoms that have been mentioned, please, as quickly as possible, go to the hospital. And then for those who unfortunately get sexually abused, and they become pregnant. That is another group of people. Let us help our young girls to go through school. Anything that they can do to prevent unwanted pregnancy, please help them. Let us talk to them. And the young boys too, let's talk to them. If you become a father when you are not ready for it, you can also go through postpartum depression. So it's not just for the girls. That is for all of us. Well, that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed the session and you will share with friends and family. But please, if you haven't done that, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pregnancy School, Dr. Linda Vanutu, and on Facebook, The Pregnancy School. It will do you a lot of good to do that. We'll see you in our next video where we'll bring you another important topic for you and for your family. See you. Remember to get yourself a copy of the magazine, Promise from the Womb. If you want a copy, just send me a WhatsApp message on the same number, +2335924200625. And if you need any follow-on discussions, you want to see the clinical psychologist, please send us a WhatsApp message to the same number, and Mrs. Myers will be happy to see you. Thank you so much for your attention. See you in our next video. Bye.